Hey buddy, did you ever try to roll a piece of paper in middle school, light it up like a blunt, inhale the smoke from the paper, then go into seizure due to an allergic reaction? No? Well, here's a plant that can do far worse. Introducing the Jimson Weed, or the more badass name, Devil's Trumpet. Plant so toxic it makes smoking look like a good alternative to breathing. Let's start with what it looks like. Jimson Weed is one of those plants that says, "Hey, I'm totally harmless. Look at my cute little flowers." But in reality, it's basically the botanical equivalent of a clown holding a chainsaw. This thing grows all over the place, in fields, along roadsides, even in your neighbor's yard. And don't bother asking why they haven't gotten rid of it, because even they don't know it's there. The name Jimson weed comes from Jamestown weed because back in 1676, some British soldiers found it growing near Jamestown, Virginia. And because these geniuses didn't have Google back then, they thought, "Hey bruv, let's toss this in the stew, innit?" What followed was a week and a half of absolute chaos. Report says that the soldiers were playing naked, acting silly, and eating everything in sight. So basically, imagine a kid's birthday party, but instead of cake, everyone's munching on mushrooms, and instead of pin the tail on the donkey, they're having an existential crisis with the lawn gnome. Fast forward a few centuries, and people are still messing around with this stuff. Why? Because humans have the collective survival instinct of a lemming on a cliff. Some folks actually use Jimson weed as a recreational drug, which is like saying, "Oh, regular drugs aren't risky enough. Let's try the plant that nearly broke colonial America." Here's the science bit. Jimson weed is packed with tryptophan alkaloids like atropine, scopolamine, and hyoscyamine. These aren't just fancy words. They're the chemicals responsible for the plant's toxic effects. What effects, you ask? Oh, just the greatest hits. Dry mouth so bad you feel like you swallowed a bucket of sand, blurred vision that makes you think your eyeballs are buffering, and hallucinations vivid enough to make you question if you even exist. And don't think they're just seeing cool, trippy stuff either. Nope. People report hallucinations so horrifying they'd make Stephen King call his therapist. One guy claimed he saw spiders crawling out of his skin. Another thought his fridge was trying to attack him. Yeah, fun times. Oh, and let's not forget the part where it can straight up kill you. Eat too much of his stuff and it can cause seizures, paralysis, or just flat out stop your heart. It's like Russian roulette, except all the chambers are loaded and the gun is yelling, "Do it." And speaking of poor choices, throughout history, people have used Jimson weed in all sorts of weird ways. Indigenous groups sometimes used it in tiny, carefully measured doses for spiritual rituals, which makes sense. If you're gonna talk to the spirit world, you might as well use the plant that makes you think you're already halfway there. But fast forward to modern times and you've got teenagers trying to use it to get high. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. Most of the time it's less, "Woo, I'm having fun," and more, "Help, I'm having a conversation with my spleen." Even if you're smart enough not to eat it, Jimson weed still finds a way to ruin your day. Touching it can irritate your skin. And if you're allergic to its pollen, say hello to the kind of sneezing fits that'll make you wish you didn't have lungs. But here's the kicker. People still grow it on purpose. Apparently, it's used in some traditional medicines, and in small doses, the chemicals can treat things like asthma or motion sickness, which is kind of like saying, "Sure, this plant is trying to kill me, but maybe it can also help my sinuses." So, how do you avoid this plant I just explained can kill you in a couple of steps? Simple. If you see something that looks like Jimson weed, big leaves, white trumpet shaped flowers, spiky seed pods, just walk the other way. Treat it like a skunk that's trying to convince you that the entire world is shaped like a decagon, or your ex of 4 years trying to contact you after you caught her cheating with your neighbor. In conclusion, Jimson weed is nature's way of reminding us that not all plants are cute little vegans waiting to be tossed in a salad. Sometimes they're psychopathic green booby traps waiting for the next victim to touch them. And that's Jimson weed, a plant so toxic it makes you appreciate how lucky you are to have normal weeds in your backyard. And remember, don't get high with your lawn gnome, don't trust colonial British soldiers, and as always, stay classy.